Yeah, we're the only listed company.
Yeah.
We were in 21 and even it's been over 3 years now.
So a few coffee spills. Then of course the warm and rather boisterous welcome by Frodo and Snowball. Finally we're in the car.
You know, he was 60, I was 16, but we became great friends.
Right.
Then used to study at Sydenham College, not attend much lectures.
Yeah.
So I used to bunk college and go off to his home right here at Malabar Hill.
Right.
He had 4-5 Macintoshes.
Oh boy.
So I, as a 16-year-old, was excited about those Macs. I'm a slow starter in the morning, so I like my time with my coffee or my tea, catching up on emails. So I spend an hour doing that. And also, my wife's allocated the duty to push the kids out in the morning to school. My son is doing the drums and my daughter is doing the piano right now.
Right.
And hopefully we'll have our jazz band in place soon. She started gaming on the iPad at 1.
Oh.
So for her, it comes very naturally.
Right.
So she's teaching me how to play Black Myth. So that's
Right.
okay. I'm happy to learn.
Right. Child is the father of man, as they say.
Nitish Mittersain, a true Mumbai original who started coding games at 7, ran his own neighbourhood newspaper at 10, and hosted dial-in networks from his bedroom before most people knew what the internet was. Inspired by his engineer dad and a family of entrepreneurs, Nitish's journey has been anything but ordinary. From skipping college lectures to geeking out with Shami Kapoor over Macintosh computers, to convincing Rakesh Jhanjhanwala to invest crores in Nazara after just one meeting. But there is more to him than business. He's a jazz saxophonist, Krav Maga enthusiast, and a family man. After surviving the Dotcom crash as a teenage founder, Nitish bounced back to build India's only listed gaming company, Nazara Technologies, which is now a global player with studios around the world.
So a few coffee spills. Then of course the warm and rather boisterous welcome by Frodo and Snowball. Finally we're in the car. So thank you so much. I remember, although it was some time ago when you posted it, the tweet which is still pinned on your Twitter handle is the celebration after the IPO from December 2021.
Correct.
Right. So talk to us about your association with Mr. Jhanjhanwala, how you met him.
This was in 2018 or 2017, mid 2017, when we were planning to, the first time we were planning to IPO the company.
Yeah.
And we were looking for some investors to support us. And I had an opportunity to go and meet him. I still remember it was maybe an hour's discussion, where he understood what the company does.
Yeah.
And I remember noting he had come with all the numbers, he knew everything, right? So he had clearly done his homework, his team had briefed him, he was very much on top of it. The discussion was more around the general philosophy of the company. I think what he appreciated is we had built the company on very efficient capital, and he took a decision in that 1 hour's meeting that he would invest and move forward. He put in about 200 crores. And that was a big boost for us.
Since we're talking about mentors, I mean, you have a very interesting mentor in that small list, and that is Mr. Shami Kapoor.
Correct.
How did that happen?
Shami uncle was a very early adopter of the internet in the early 90s, and he was very active in the Bombay circuit. We used to have an Internet Users Club of India, where he was a chairman.
Right.
So I was also young, I was in school, college, and I got many opportunities.
This was in the 90s?
Yeah, I was the early 90s, 92, 93. And I got many opportunities. We used to have get-togethers every month, so I used to meet him there.
Right.
And we just struck this friendship. He was 60, I was 16, but we became great friends.
Right.
And then used to study at Sydenham College, not attend much lectures. So I used to bunk college and go off to his home right here at Malabar Hill.
Right.
He had 4-5 Macintoshes.
Oh boy.
So I, as a 16-year-old, was excited about those Macs. Just sit there and spend time with him, discussing, trying out things.
No, that's amazing to hear because, I mean, that's such an unlikely background for somebody who was interested in technology. And to the extent that in those days had like 4 or 5 Macintoshes.
Correct.
Right? Now, in your case, when it comes to your usual day, when does it start? Because today, because of us, you're running slightly late, I guess. It's 11:20.
Yes.
So it generally, in your case, starts rather early, right?
Yeah, so, post-COVID, I would say my schedule has become a little bit more different than a stereotypical schedule. So I'm usually an early riser. So I'll be up between 5:30 and 6.
Right.
But I'm a slow starter in the morning, so I like my time with my coffee or my tea, catching up on emails. So I spend an hour doing that. And also, my wife's allocated the duty to push the kids out in the morning to school.
Right.
So I'm busy with that. And then I actually do all of my morning chores, spend time with my parents who live in the same building. And then head to my gym. So I'll end up going to my gym actually fairly late, although I wake up at 6 o'clock. I think by the time I'm in my gym, I'm at 8:30 or so. But I've spent a good 1.5 hours working in the morning.
Right.
So at least a lot of mails are out. And the day has started for me.
Right. And there are also Krav Maga classes that
I
you
did
took
that
up.
this morning.
Right. Oh, you did?
Yeah, this morning.
Right.
Correct.
So, why Krav Maga?
I went to Tel Aviv a couple of times in 2017, 2018.
I see.
And Krav Maga is obviously an Israeli martial art, right? Or defense martial art, you can say. It's invented by the Israeli army.
Yes, IDF.
So IDF. So in that trip, I had gone for a camp, half-day camp, where the IDF took us out to one of the training centers outside of Tel Aviv and made us do a half-day of Krav Maga. And I really enjoyed it. So when I came back to Bombay, I had this aspiration that I want to continue learning that.
Right.
And I found that the Israeli Krav Maga Foundation had a center here in Bombay as well.
Right.
So I found a trainer to come to me. That's how I got started.
Wonderful.
So I finished 2 levels of certification, trying to get the 3rd one now.
Right. And there are about 5?
5, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So you're halfway there.
Yeah.
And it took you about 6 years.
I lost a couple of years in COVID and,
Right.
a little bit of on and off.
Yeah. Because I don't think video classes when it comes to martial arts really help.
I tried for some time, then I gave it up.
Yeah. You need that sparring practice and so on. By the way, when we were at your place, which is a lovely home, great view of the sea, and there's a sports academy downstairs. So, firstly, of course, thank you for inviting me in.
Oh, sure.
So I saw. So you play a saxophone.
Yeah.
I saw a jazz drum. I saw piano.
Yeah.
Do you have any intentions of starting a band?
Absolutely. My son is doing the drums and my daughter is doing the piano right now.
Right.
And hopefully we'll have our jazz band in place soon.
How old are they, by the way? Your kids?
11 and 7.
11 and 7.
Yeah.
So a few more years and you could have a band right at your home.
No, I think I found music as a fantastic meditative place for me.
Right.
So even now every weekend I try and pick up my sax, post some stuff on my Instagram, so that it just keeps me going.
Being a founder of a company which is now listed, it's been 3 years for you. And of course the stocks had a wonderful run in these 3 years, which is also very interesting because as far as gaming is concerned, yours is the only one which is on the exchange?
Yeah, we're the only listed company. We were in 21 and even it's been over 3 years now. We're still the only listed company. But I'm hoping that more will come. I think the India gaming story is still just taking off. And the next few years should be very exciting. So I think it's been great. I think the experience of being listed has also been great for us.
While you were talking, because of those very few bumps, because it's a spanking new road, and of course the view is amazing on your left. You're a Mumbai boy through and through.
Yes.
Seems like a city which is perpetually under construction.
Okay.
Something or the other is always coming up. You've seen the transition the city has gone through right from the 80s all the way till now.
Yes.
So what was Bombay then like? What's Bombay now like? What has changed?
Yeah. In my initial years, I grew up in the suburbs near Bandra. And life then, as I remember, till I was 10, I stayed on that side of town. And as I remember, was far more slower, peaceful. Trees covering the roads. So it's a different world, I feel, altogether. But in recent years, I would say that this always in construction in Bombay always felt like a negative connotation. But in recent years, especially look what they've done with this coastal road, right?
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I think this construction is really producing some fantastic outcomes for Mumbaikas. Like just this coastal road is a complete game changer. So I think for a change, we are looking at the construction as a positive.
Right.
And looking forward to seeing what's next. Versus it just creating more traffic jams or more potholes, etc.
Yeah. So when in the 80s and the 90s when you were growing up, in the suburbs. I mean, your father was a businessman, your parents, I mean, you come from a family of entrepreneurs. So when it comes to entrepreneurship, was it your father who was your inspiration first more than anybody?
Yeah.
And of course, I mean, you were talking earlier in the morning about your grandfather as well. So talk to us about, your early influences in life.
Sure. So we came from a textile business family. And what my father, of course, was my first source of inspiration, but more importantly, he's the person who single-handedly put me into this, technology space. He was an engineer by education, and at around 5, when I was 5, he bought me a Atari, and I got completely hooked to gaming.
Right.
He probably saw that interest in me, and he bought me a mini computer called a ZX Spectrum.
Right.
Before the PCs really came out. This is, I'm talking like mid 80s.
Okay.
When I got further hooked to it, and I started coding games when I was 7. So I think my father and both my parents, right, my mother as well, they always supported me in this, technology, becoming more into technology. They never stopped me from spending countless hours on the computer, unlike the whole screen time issue now, right? And that just became my life.
Right.
So yeah, of course, my parents played a big role in introducing me to a completely different sector, I would say.
And once introduced, at what point in time you started thinking about it? I mean, it's one thing for a kid to be interested in computers, in games, right? But as an entrepreneur, at what stage in your life did you start thinking in terms of, okay, I can build a business out of this and I can get that going?
I was looking back, I was always having this entrepreneurial bug. As a 10-year-old, I used to run a local newspaper in my locality.
Oh, wonderful! So you've been on this side of the table as well.
Right. It was called The Interviewer.
So how am I doing so far?
And I used to interview a lot of well-known personalities for my newsletter.
Right.
I remember interviewing folks like Sunil Gavaskar and many other such folks.
Really?
When I was 10, right?
Yeah.
So I did that.
But what happened to that project of yours? What happened to that newspaper project of yours?
Well, I was getting into 9th and 10th standard ICSE, so it took its natural toll.
Right.
But it became quite popular at one point of time. Then I was running this bulletin board service, like a private network of my bedroom when I was 13, 14 years old. So in my bedroom, I had like 6-7 PCs, 24 telephone lines, like MTNL lines coming in, 24 modems, and people used to dial into my network, connect with each other, download files. So it was like a mini internet. The internet hadn't come to India yet.
Yeah, so it was just till dial-in stuff, right?
Using a modem. So it was called a bulletin board service. Mine was called WOW BBS. It was Way Out Wild.
Okay.
I used to charge 1,200 rupees per year for it.
Yeah, such an apt name though.
Then I started making websites for companies. So I was doing that. And then I was studying in Sydenham. The Sydenham College had a computer center where I was very active. So I used to spend a lot of hours in the computer center. And then I think it was the Dotcom boom in the late 90s. There was this huge, buzz about the Dotcoms.
Yeah, of course.
Incidentally, one of the people who I connected through my BBS was Jerry Yang in the early 90s, who was the founder of Yahoo.
Of course.
He was not the Jerry Yang when I was connected to him. So I was also in touch with him.
Okay.
So one thing led to the other, and I said, gaming in India will become big sometime. And why not start something in that?
Right.
And that's how Nazara really was born in 97, 98.
And that was good 2.5 decades ago.
Yeah, so we were probably too early. We were probably way too ahead of the curve from an India gaming perspective.
Right.
But that's hindsight is 2020, right?
Right.
The whole .com crash felt like falling off a cliff, right? And it left me with maybe a debt of 3 crores at that point of time.
Oh boy.
And which is equivalent to maybe 10 times that or more, right? 30-40 crores today.
As a 19-year-old, that must have been such an uphill battle. I mean, a lot of people will lose all hopes and probably will go back to something else.
Sure.
So how did you bounce back? Talk to us about that phase.
Yeah, sure. So the aspiration that especially my mother had, that you should go and do an MBA in the US. I now tell her, I did a far more expensive and far more enriching MBA in those years sitting right here, right? So yeah, but I think I had a lot of sleepless nights in that situation. But I always had that hope that things will be better. And some of my mentors, including my grandfather that you mentioned, always told me that, things will get better. Just keep plugging in. And I didn't know anything better because all my life I had done gaming since the age of 5. I had really not done anything else. So I really didn't know what else to do in any case. So I just kept pursuing it.
So sometimes not having too many options can also help one. So you pay off all that debt. Must have taken you a while because
2004.
2004. Right. And that's when the bounce back begins. The next leg of your journey. As a result of which, almost 2 decades later, we're in 2024, you now have the only gaming company listed on the stock exchange.
That's right.
So talk to about that next phase, that bouncing back period.
It was not an overnight process.
Of course.
Right from our breakthrough in 2004 of partnering with Sachin Tendulkar to build cricket games around him, to raising our first round of funding from Westbridge Capital. I think those were initial breakthroughs. Then we plugged for a few years. Gaming still didn't monetize.
And I think Westbridge happened because you had convinced Sachin by then.
Yes, correct. There was the story is that Sandeep Singhal, who was a partner of Westbridge, saw an interview of me on CNBC talking about the Sachin deal and reached out to me.
Right.
But after that also 2-3 years till 2007, 2008, we were still struggling to really monetize or find a product market fit. But then we started doing this gaming for telcos, and that worked very well. We partnered with Airtel and all these companies. That model worked very well. We ran it very efficiently and really monetized very well. Then I took it to 50 countries in the emerging markets, Africa, Middle East. And we monetized a lot. So we had made about 12 crores, we had raised about 12 crores from Westbridge. But by 2014, we had accumulated about 250 crores of profit. That much cash was sitting in our bank account. And that really spurred the next leg of growth in the last decade.
For Nazara, what are your plans going forward? You were talking about AI coming in and playing a big role. So in terms of investments or in terms of the kind of product that you're looking to build at this point in time. So what are your plans for the next, say, last couple of years?
So we see Nazara as a global gaming company now out of India. We've bought gaming studios all over the world, including the UK, the US, etc. So one is how do we continue to expand that? And that's one thing we're working on. The second thing is the Indian market remains a core strategic market for us. We launched something called Nazara Publishing a few months back, where we're looking to partner with global companies to deliver a great experience for Indian consumers based on their games and their products. And the third thing, our focus very much is on what's really new in the gaming world in terms of technology. Because this is a business which continuously evolves due to tech, and in the near term, you're seeing some major disruptions. So Web3, which allows for digital asset ownership. Because today people purchase items within the game, but they don't really own it. But Web3 enables that, where you can own an item, you can sell that item, you can make money. So I think Web3, especially the digital asset ownership, is going to be a big game changer. So we're very focused on that. How do we integrate that and how do we move the technology as it's moving? The second I'm betting big on is the whole virtual reality, extended reality space. It's gone through cycles of hype and pessimism over many years. But I think we are nearer for a takeoff or a lift-off on that. And before we know it will happen. And it is the future. When you play a game today in a Meta Quest or a Apple Vision Pro, you can really see what the future is going to look like. And we are very actively looking at maybe acquiring 1 or 2 studios which are focused on the VR space that can kind of grow that vertical for us. And the third is AI. I think AI is a game changer for the gaming industry, how you make games and also how you engage or personalize the experience for the player using AI.
What games do you enjoy playing?
These days, because of the young kids at home,
Yeah.
I'm largely at home playing what they are playing.
Okay.
Right? So they decide what to play.
Right.
Right now, it's Fortnite. And I recently, just last weekend, downloaded this mega Chinese hit called Black Myth.
Black Myth.
Right? Wukong.
Yeah.
And now my 7-year-old daughter's picked it up.
Yeah.
So I'm playing that with her.
But isn't that like, a little complicated for this stage? Oh.
Yeah, I'm amazed actually, the
Yeah.
kids these days.
Yeah.
See, that's the whole thing. These kids are digital first
Right.
and gaming first, I would say.
Yeah.
But like my daughter's 7, right?
Yeah.
She started gaming on the iPad at 1.
Oh.
So for her, it comes very naturally.
Right.
So she's teaching me how to play Black Myth. So that's
Right.
okay. I'm happy to learn.
Right, right. Child is the father of man, as they say. No, wonderful, because, that brings me to the other question, which is also a criticism of, if you want to call it criticism,
Yes.
or the darker side of gaming. That is, for a lot of kids these days, screen time has become such an issue. And as Steve Jobs put it, in some context, when he was talking about, what he does with his kids and what is the kind of screen time allowed to them. What do you do personally, by the way?
This is a hotly debated topic in my household multiple times a day.
Yeah.
Because I'm a little relaxed about it, given I've always been on the screen since a young age.
Yeah.
So I don't find it such a big problem. My wife doesn't like it at all.
Right.
But I think on a more serious note, getting the right balance is very important. I think you're growing up in a digital world where keeping kids completely out of screens may actually be a handicap for them.
Now, one thing which you throughout your life, throughout your entrepreneurship journey, which you've received, and I would say perhaps at the right time, has been this, validation from peers. Whether it was in terms of investment or it was in terms of, coming in and supporting you in other ways. So talk to us about this ecosystem that we are now seeing. It's not just, a doctor or an engineer that a kid wants to become. Entrepreneurship is a viable option.
Yes.
And it's not really looked down upon now. So talk to us about that, and of course, the investment from the Kamath brothers. Like, how did that come about?
Yeah. Look, India is very much on its way of becoming the startup nation of the world.
Yeah.
Right? And I think the kind of opportunities that our industry, the country offers, you have such a large population. It's now all on mobiles, on digital. India has gone way ahead on stuff like UPI, digital payments. Right?
Sure.
So it's a fantastic platform. It didn't exist when I started off. Then you also have a very well matured ecosystem of investing, right? From angel investors all the way to a public markets now, as you can see, even for tech companies, right? So I think the kind of opportunity for entrepreneurship that exists in India today does not exist anywhere else in the world, and therefore it makes absolute sense for people to start up in India. And I've often been posting on my social media about how startup founders really benefit from this opportunity. The other thing, of course, like you mentioned, is folks like the Kamath brothers or other successful tech entrepreneurs. They are really helping, mentor a lot of the startup founders, provide them with initial capital. I think that's going a great way too. And even from a Nazara perspective, we've been very fortunate to have such successful tech entrepreneurs of India back us. The Kamath brothers, I especially have interacted a lot with Nikhil Kamath.
Right.
He understands the space and has really backed us very strongly. Most recently, we had Mithun Sacheti of Carrot Lane also put in a large check into the company. And we're great to form this association with him. So I think it's an ecosystem, right, building out. And I think 1 + 1 will be 11.
Yeah, I think, for anything to really take off, and as has been the case with entrepreneurship after 2013-14, which is when, by then Flipkart had become Flipkart, Paytm had become Paytm, right? Since then, in just a decade's time, we're like way on the other side of 100 unicorns, we're way more than that. Right. Interesting. This is an interesting little stretch. This is the underground stretch,
this is the underground, which you were seeing from my house. No?
Yeah.
It goes underground, and this will open up on Marine Drive.
Right. So I think we did drive for the last shoot. I was here on the coastal road, but this section was not open.
Maybe it just started in the last 2-3 months.
Yeah. So how much time does it take you from home to office now?
It takes me 15 minutes.
Oh boy, that's
it should take 40 minutes during the earlier time.
Right.
It's now 15 minutes.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful,
Yeah.
piece of infrastructure.
Correct. No, it's amazing. That's what I was telling you.
Yeah.
That all this construction is leading to such kind of fantastic outcomes.
Yeah. And I think a city like Bombay does need that anyway.
Yeah. You're choking up otherwise.
Yeah. It reminds me of all the things that Elon Musk keeps saying about tunnels and...
So it's amazing. My son especially is a huge Elon Musk fan.
Right.
So we talk a lot about that these days.
Right. What's that conversation like? I mean, between you and him?
I think the first conversation I want a Tesla.
Yeah.
Right, which has been going on for a couple of years. And then it's about what's the future of robotics, what's the future of self-driving cars. Get them to think.
Right.
About the future they are going to live in. Because see, the kids of this age, right? I think not very far out, maybe a decade in from where we stand today, their life is going to be completely different.
Yeah.
They are growing up in a completely different world. What we see in the futuristic movies or the sci-fi movies is the world they are going to grow up into. So the faster they understand that, adapt to it, the better in my view it is.
We've spoken about gaming, we've spoken about the games that you're interested in. These days you're interested in philosophy a lot. I mean, you're reading up a lot, and Stoicism is something which, came up in our discussion. So I found that really interesting because, everybody's, I think, going through that phase these days when Stoicism is being discussed by entrepreneurs especially a lot.
Right.
So talk to me about that a bit.
Yeah, no, for me it's not a recent phenomenon. I've always been interested, but on and off as I get time I do it. These days ChatGPT etc. makes it much easier. One of my favorite books to pick up once in a while is Marcus Aurelius's Meditation, which is for kind of the go-to book, right? I think a lot of things get captured in that, which are very logical. But I'm not just doing Stoicism. I'm off lately been reading everything right from Socrates to the Gita.
Right.
So it's a very, very wide spectrum, I would say. I don't really have the patience or the time to read the entire books, but I get ChatGPT to summarize and actually ChatGPT makes a very good reading guide. So if you can tell it, it'll tell you which chapters to really read, what to pick up from it, etc.
Right. So that's the reading list. So if you had to sort of pick a couple of books which you would recommend as a good read to people around you, what would you say those couple of books are?
I have enjoyed reading some biographies a lot. And in recent years, last couple of years, I read like Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, which I really loved, by Walter Isaacson. Some of these books were by him, who also wrote Elon Musk recently,
Elon Musk,
right?
Biography,
Right. I think just reading some of these lives and how these people did what they did is fascinating. So I'm less of that business book, how to do business type of books, or how to improve productivity type of books. I'm less into that. I love reading some of these biographies, etc.
And because all the people that you mentioned were, of course, all multifaceted people, including Musk. So, interesting. So that's books. When it comes to music, if you had to, what's your favorite jazz band? You're soon going to have your favorite one here at your home, but
it's again classic, right? Louis Armstrong.
Right.
Remains my favorite. And that's what we're going to attack first in my jazz band as well. But I like to listen to jazz. I like to listen to I was always a big fan of old Hindi music. So I was a big fan of Shami Kapoor songs even before I got to know him. Maybe I had a vested interest to get to know him.
And I'm sure that must have helped.
Exactly. So I play a lot of, even on my sax, I play a lot of old Hindi music, which I really enjoy. And the source of inspiration for me to pick up the sax, it is just secret I'm sharing, was when I was in school, I was obsessed by Salman Khan in Maine Pyar Kiya. He plays a sax in it.
Right.
So that was the source.
I think that's also the poster, right?
Yeah.
Salman Khan in that white ganji, with a... Right. Yeah. Okay. So that's that. Now when it comes to movies, what kind of movies are you into?
I'm a all-time big fan of The Godfather.
I see.
Yeah. I think it's a perfect lessons of business in it. Most of the quotes in that movie, there's so much to pick up from that. I actually put a LinkedIn post about my my lessons in startup world from the Godfather.
Godfather, yes. And top 3 of those were?
I mean, there are a lot of quotes, right? There's not a particular one, but I think don't talk about what you're thinking. Don't let anybody know what you're thinking. There are many such relevant quotes that are very valuable.
We are at your office.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for taking out the time, Nitish.
No, thank you for the ride.
Pleasure entirely ours. Thank you once again.
Yes.
And
my pleasure. Thank you.